Everyone talks about a Gata watch. Everyone talks about field watches, and they're typically 3 hands. But I think the best field watches are divers. And there's a very simple, obvious component of the elapsed time bezel that is extremely helpful when it comes to navigating out here. I'm in Custer State Park in South Dakota. Super beautiful area, rock formations, some alpine lakes and stuff like that up here. I'll definitely attach some photos. It's so beautiful. But I kind of scoff at the idea that the ideal field watch is a 3-handed watch, because when it comes to tracking mileage, when it comes to tracking daylight, or if you really get in a pinch and you need to utilize a compass and you don't have one, right? You can transform your watch with a dive bezel into a compass if you have sunlight. I fail to see how this is not the ultimate explorer's watch. Rolex Explorer, right? That three-hand style, Tudor Ranger, awesome watches, and I think they really would serve this purpose well. But in real life application, I can't tell you how valuable a dive time bezel has been to me out here hiking, because like I said, I'm able to track how far in what amount of time I've gone. You don't want to have hiking brain and think you're going to remember what time you started. That's just not realistic. It's really not realistic. So that's a little one-off rant. Tell me what you guys think. Do you think the ultimate exploring watch is an actual field watch style? Or do you see the value in a dive watch? A chronograph? What do you like out here? Well, spend time in nature, and remember, use your watches. Cheers. Wearing the Willard SPB183. Talk a little bit about this watch, why I like to hike with dive watches. I mean, not only are they robust, waterproof, you're able to track how far of a distance you've gone in what amount of time. At a glance, I can know I've been out here for 55 minutes on this specific trail. It really helps for pacing and daylight and all that good stuff. What do you think, Birdie? But here, we'll post up. I'm huffing and puffing a little bit. Whew. Pretty cool little rock ridge. So if you're thinking about getting a Willard, I definitely would recommend this. I mean, blue, my favorite color. Really big fan of this blue. Love that there is an aluminum insert so I can see all that wear and tear, that patina over time. But I'll go over the specs real quick and I'll put them up here. 42 millimeters with a 72-hour power reserve. Really find that does help me a lot, being that this is not my daily watch. I can pick it up and a lot of times it is running. So with that being said, talked a little bit previously in my other video about Seiko and their ever-growing prices and their current offerings that they have. Maybe some of the offerings don't offer the refinement, I mean, it comes down to a few things, right? Bezel action being the most common thing. I really enjoy this, and I was able to get a deal on watcho.com. Seem to have deals pop up all the time. I am in the United States. They are in the UK. Won't go too deep into it because I don't think the Willard is discounted anymore. But I was able to get this almost half off, which really helps with the whole Seiko conundrum, I guess we could say, at this point in time with their current offerings. I mean, if this was a full price at like 1400 US, I think it's like 1200 British pounds or something right now on the website, I don't think I would be able to justify pulling the trigger. With that being said, I still think that the Willard is the quintessential watch out of the Seiko catalog. 62 Moss, that's an unbelievably beautiful watch. I really love the throwback design, and that might be more your speed. But as weird as this case shape is, as bizarre as this case is, it wears like a dream. It's like a pebble melted onto your wrist, like a glob of ice cream, and it makes it extremely wearable. With a short lug to lug, I believe, of 48 millimeters. I can again, everything will be up on the screen here, just kind of doing it off the dome, but the 42 millimeter case is slightly slimmed down from the original, right? The 44 millimeters that it usually comes in. 42, much more wearable size on my 6 3/4 inch wrist. The lug to lug though is extremely wearable. That Panerai effect, that Seiko effect, really is in play here. Pretty thin, about 13.5 millimeters in height, so not the thinnest, but pretty thin for a dive watch. Extremely wearable on this, not Uncle Seiko anymore, Uncle strap. This is the black waffle strap, which is, I believe, period correct to the original issue of the Willard. So just a fun little thing there. The only thing I don't like about it is this notch fits me well, but it's pretty tight. And then the next little notch here is a bit loose. That is pretty common for me in a lot of dive straps, but I thought I would mention that the holes are not too close together. Luckily, I mean, my wrist is kind of swelled right now, so it's not giving too much overhang. Speaking of overhang, Birdie's overhanging his head into the video. What's up, dog? Here, good boy. Keep it short and sweet. If you're interested in this watch, I would really recommend it if you can get a deal. There's a couple on eBay I saw for about 800 bucks. That is your price. That is where you pull the trigger. That is where the value lies. This is a watch that you can keep for the rest of your life. I sort of plan to keep this as my expedition watch for the end of time, right? So I'm not too worried about getting that money back, although I think at that $800 mark you can have some value retention. Value retention aside, when we look to the styling, I mean, obviously typical Seiko loom. The loom is fantastic on this. I mean, I can even just go under this little ridge here and see if I can show you. Yeah, so a little bit of a demonstration. I don't know if you can see that right there. Really cool watch if you can get it for that price. Drilled lug holes on here with a 20 millimeter lug to lug, but extremely wearable. Like I said, just kind of melts onto the wrist, not too thick, and I really love that unique case shape. What would be crazy for us left-handers would be a special left-handed Willard. That would be insane. There are a lot of great Willard models out there. Without knowing all of the reference numbers off the top of my head, I was in between this and a white dial, much more, I guess you could say, unique dial than this blue Sunburst, but I was able to get this from an authorized source, which is always nice. I think this is the way to go. Although if you could get the white one, I think that is really awesome. White with a textured dial and a blue bezel. If you want just the classic Willard, I think you have to go with the gray. Their recent addition, somewhat recent addition of that gray dial. Still with the baton hands on all of these models. Absolutely love them. Super legible. It gives it such a great feel. Not only is it super legible, but sort of a vintage feel on there with that stoplight tip on the seconds hand. I really enjoy this. Only thing I don't love about this watch, and I don't dislike it, but the ever so slightly gold hue on the seconds hand, it actually is growing on me a bit. But I think it would have been cool if they just kept that with the silver, the same color as those baton hands. We do have the Divers 200 on here is in that same gold tone. So if you enjoy that little accent, I could take it or leave it. Really doesn't matter to me. As you might be able to see, there is a slightly domed sapphire crystal on here. Gives it a really cool little distortion around the minute track here. Really enjoy that feature. The bezel, classic sort of Seiko bezel with a little more refinement on this model. It's nothing to call home about. I take note of where I'm at here, because like I said, I actually do like to time these hikes so I know how many miles, how fast I can go, just so I know when to turn around, how much daylight I have, yada yada. But I'll give it a little spin here. So pretty classic Seiko, pretty loose. This one has a slightly more refined than, say, a King Turtle, right? King Turtle is a little more clicky, a little more height on that King Turtle with that sort of waffle texture. This is a nice coin edge bezel, sort of a slim bezel, which I much prefer. It is ever slightly more tight than, say, your base model Seiko in, let's just relate it to a King Turtle. That King Turtle was my exploring watch. I just felt like it was such a big watch at 44.5 millimeters, bit of a height thickness, and that Cyclops on there was not a huge fan of that watch. I mean, it's a great watch. I had the green grenade version. Happy to replace it with this. As far as any other features, let's see. I mean, classic Seiko. The bezel alignment, I feel slightly gaslit by. I can't quite tell. It's like ever so slightly off, like a quarter of a click off. And I actually saw a video from Anachronist quite a while ago, and he went and he replaced or reinstalled the bezel there because of that alignment. We'll see if it bothers me enough to do something like that, but for this application, I mean, I'm going to be beating the shit out of this watch anyway. It's really not about the glitz and glam for me, I guess, but it is kind of annoying. I mean, you spend almost $1,000 on a watch, or if you buy it full price, $1,000 on a watch. Like, what the heck are we doing? Why isn't it aligned? But maybe it wouldn't be a Seiko if it was aligned. I'm not going to go too extensive on here. I'm going to add maybe some thoughts later. But 42 millimeters diameter, 48 lug to lug. Excuse me. Lug to lug. 20 millimeters between the lugs. Extremely wearable size. Drilled lug holes. Obviously rotating bezel, aluminum bezel insert, which I'm actually starting to prefer these days. I mean, maybe if I get a scratch, I'll be like, oh man, I wish it was ceramic or sapphire, but I think that's easy enough to change. I'm excited to see some kind of patina take away on here. I feel like that is just the nature of the watch. That's how it should be. Really appreciate your time, and if you're interested in this watch, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to talk about it. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Really appreciate it. Gonna keep these watch rants coming out here in the nature setting. Like I said, out here in the Black Hills, I'll attach some of the photography from today because it is pretty cool. All right, thank you for watching, and if you see value in this, I mean, feel free to like and subscribe. I don't think I deserve it yet, but I'm gonna keep these coming. Consistency is key, and I can't stress enough, use your watches. We're not about freaking grand complication Pateks out here. I want the most robust, usable tools, and maybe we'll do some fancy stuff later on, but this is what I love. I love being out here in nature, taking a companion with me on my wrist, a companion with me on the ground, and that's what it's all about. Use your watches.